Title: The Table. Hi, I'm Seren. My sister looked me dead in the eyes and said, "This table is for family." Then she laughed, like that seat hadn't carried years of silence I'd swallowed just to stay in their circle. They thought I'd sit quietly, pay the bill, shrink, smile. But that night, something in me snapped. They had no idea what was coming when I finally said no. I'd told myself I wouldn't go, rehearsed every excuse during the drive: car trouble, fake emergency. Blame the carbon monoxide detector, but guilt's a shapeshifter, and my mother's voice had already wrapped around my spine. So there I was, outside Dominion Flame, some overpolished steakhouse where the air itself smelled expensive. Austin's heat clung to me. My palms were damp, my heart pounding a warning. I could still turn around. I didn't. The maitre d' knew my last name and led me in, and there they were, seated like royalty under a chandelier that cost more than my first car. Darian saw me first, his grin oiled across his face. "Look who finally decided to show up." I forced a smile. "Good evening." I moved toward an empty chair, quietly, carefully, but Elra's voice sliced in. She said, smiling, sharp. "That seat's for Uncle Leo. You know, family." The word hit like ice water. Darian leaned forward, inching his chair just enough to block the space. "Yeah, it's tight tonight. Might want to check the other table over there." Gesture. No eye contact. It wasn't a joke. No one laughed. Not even Mom. She looked away. I stood there, breath gone. Every chair filled by people I used to build pillow forts with, cry in front of, call home. No room for me. So I dragged a chair across the marble, the screech loud, deliberate, set it beside their table. Not in, not out, close enough to hear, too far to matter. I ordered black coffee, folded my hands, pretended the stairs didn't burn. Elra raised her glass. "To togetherness?" she said with a smirk. "Some of us still value it?" Laughter. Not all of them. Just enough. They never understood me. I was the quiet one, the bookworm, the cousin who didn't do dress-up or drama. I built a life. Quietly, deliberately, 7 figures. Forbes feature. Suddenly I mattered again, not for who I was, but what I could give. They didn't say it out loud. They didn't have to. They just played games, like musical chairs with my dignity. Plates passed, glasses clinked. No one asked me a thing. I could have been invisible. Then Darian made the joke. "Some people forget their roots once they get a little cash." Elra's laugh was instant. Eyes locked on mine, smile tight and pointed. I sipped my coffee. Let it burn. Better that than letting them see it still hurt. This wasn't awkward. It was war. A performance with a price tag. Menus arrived, oversized, pretentious. Darian grinned. "Wagyu, lobster. That cab from Dad's birthday. Sound good, Serene?" I blinked. Once. "Sure. Sounds festive." More nods. More laughter. Then it came. "It's not like Serene can't handle it," Uncle Harlan chimed in, loud enough for the next table. "She makes more than the rest of us put together." Laughter again. "She's our little tech queen now," Rachel added. "Let her treat us." My fingers curled under the tablecloth, not even subtle now, just greedy. But I didn't flinch. I smiled, raised my cup. "To family," I said. They toasted the punchline, not knowing I was rewriting the script. Dinner passed in fragments. Foie gras, fake laughs. Nobody mentioned the company I sold. Nobody said my name unless it followed a joke. They weren't here to connect. They were here to perform and punish. But I let them, because I was calculating. They thought I was quiet. They thought I'd pay. They didn't see the shift. I scanned the table, not for approval, not for closure, for one face. Maeve, my mother. She didn't look at me. Not once. Not even when Elra called me cold. Self-made women always forget how to connect, she said. More laughter. Rachel whispered, Amen to that. Still nothing from Maeve. Just a whisper. They didn't mean it like that. Soft, like I was the one being unreasonable. Like my pain was noise. That's when it cracked. Not loud, just final. There would be no scene, no shouting, just silence. But this time, mine was louder. I sat through dessert, didn't touch a bite. I was unraveling, on purpose, remembering, 11 years old. Orange soda in my backpack. Darian's joke at my birthday. Sticky fingers, ruined books. Maeve's voice in the kitchen. Sweetheart, boys tease the girls they're threatened by. Just let it go. Back then, I thought that was strength. Now, I know. It was surrender. They laughed, called for more wine, asked for extra dessert. I didn't decline. I didn't agree. I was done asking to be seen. They hadn't invited me to belong, only to pay. They thought this was a victory. They had no idea. I was already gone. I was stepping off the board when I looked at my mother. One last time. 15:05. Her eyes finally found mine. She blinked, startled, like she hadn't expected me to still be watching. I didn't smile. I didn't flinch. She chose silence again. And now I choose something else. The mask. The ultimatum. I didn't say a word, just held her gaze long enough for her to understand. I wasn't waiting anymore. The silence between us stretched, maybe 2 seconds. Then I stood and quietly excused myself, stepping away from the table as naturally as I could. In the lounge off the main dining floor, the lights were lower, the music softer. The illusion of peace felt slightly more believable. It wasn't that I needed air, I just needed not to suffocate. I sat by a tall window facing Congress Avenue, the view outside blurred by chandelier reflections behind me. People passed, unaware, free. For a second, I envied their anonymity. Footsteps approached. I didn't look up. I already knew. "Hey, Darian," he said, voice smooth like always. "You okay?" I didn't answer. He sat across from me, uninvited, like we were old friends catching up. "You know how they are," he began, casual, loud. "Dumb, a little tactless, harmless." I kept my eyes on the street. He waited a beat, then leaned in. "Look," he said, voice lower now, "this dinner wasn't just about catching up. You probably figured that out already." "No kidding." "But here's the thing," he went on, flashing that tired charm he used on women and investors, alike. "You showing up tonight?" That meant a lot. To Mom, to the family. They'd never say it. They're too proud. But they noticed, especially after, well, the Forbes piece. There it was. "You've done well for yourself, Saran." "We all see it." I said nothing. "And tonight? It's just dinner. One bill. It's not about money. It's the gesture. You pay, we laugh, we toast to you. Everyone walks away feeling good. Win-win." I turned to face him fully. "You mean?" "I pay. And they feel good." He blinked, smile still intact. "Semantics." I leaned back. "So that's the plan? Hand me the script and hope I play along?" He chuckled low. "Come on, Saran. Don't turn this into a protest. It's family. We razz each other. We cover when someone can't. We're adults. You're not going to let a couple offhand jokes ruin the night, are you?" Family. Funny how that word was always a weapon when they wanted something. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't shift in my seat. "I'm not here to ruin anything," I said evenly. "But I'm also not here to fund a show I wasn't cast in." He exhaled, sharp, eyes narrowing. "Okay," he said, smile gone now. "If that's how you feel..." There it was, the pivot, charm slipping into pressure. Just know, he added, if you don't step up, it won't go unnoticed. I stared at him. Is that a threat? No, he said, too fast. Just reality. This family talks. You know how Mom is, how the others are. I'm trying to protect you honestly, from the narrative. Ah, the narrative. If you refuse to do something this small, he added, it gives them permission to say a lot worse. That's when I realized he wasn't here to connect. He was here to manage fallout. I smiled, slow, careful. You don't get to build a fire under me, I said, and then ask why I'm sweating. He sat back, like I'd slapped him. I leaned in. And if you think I'm the kind of woman who pays hush money in the form of cheesecake and lobster, you're not nearly as smart as you think. He blinked. Finally. Then looked away, adjusting his shirt collar like it had gotten too tight. I'm trying to keep things from getting messy, he muttered. They already are, I said softer. But not because of me. He stood, hands on hips, like he wanted to say more. Instead, he nodded, once, sharp, and walked back to the table. I watched his shoulders tense, heard a forced laugh, saw a smile that didn't quite stick. May reached for her glass. Something had shifted. I hadn't won, but I'd broken the script. When even love isn't enough. I stayed in the lounge long after. The sound of forks and fake laughter didn't touch me the same way anymore. I wasn't floating. I was watching. Then my phone buzzed. Mom. Calling. I stared at the screen. Finger hovered. Then slowly I answered. Saran. Her voice cracked, soft. Sweetheart, are you okay? My throat tightened. She sounded like she used to, those nights I had the flu, or when Dad left and I cried in her lap. She sounded like the mom I believed could fix anything. I know tonight was hard, she said. They can be a lot, but they're not bad people. They just don't know how to handle your success. A pause. You've always been strong, stronger than them. I leaned back, eyes on the ceiling. Is that what this is? I asked. Me being punished for doing well? No, she said quickly. Don't twist my words. I'm saying, you're not like them. You've got the backbone. That's why I knew you'd handle it better than they would. She meant it as a compliment. All I heard was surrender. She was asking me to carry it again, to be better. Again. For a moment, I wanted to believe her. Maybe she really was trying. Maybe she saw me now. When the call ended, I just stared at the chandelier. Light fractured through a small crack in the glass. Polished, but broken. I got home past midnight. Didn't turn on the lights. Poured myself water and replayed her words. You've always been strong. She hadn't apologized. Hadn't acknowledged her silence. But she'd called. That had to mean something, didn't it? I thought maybe I'd call her back in the morning. Maybe we could start from a quieter place. But morning had its own plans. My phone buzzed. A message. Mom. Saran, don't make this about you. Think of the family's name. Just help them out this once. That was it. One sentence. And every fragile piece of hope I'd been clinging to shattered. Not because she asked for help, but because she said, don't make this about you. As if I'd imagined it all. As if their cruelty, their laughter, their belittling was just a moment I'd blown out of proportion. She hadn't called to mend anything. She called to soften me up. The tears didn't come. Not out of pride. There was just nothing left. I opened the message again. Typed my response slowly. I'm not your scapegoat. Not anymore. Sent. No punctuation. No room for misreading. I stepped into the hallway, each footstep quieter than the last. The emotional cord had snapped. Not with a scream, but with a silence I no longer feared. I was done asking to be understood. Now, I would make myself clear. Smile for the camera. At least I thought I had. But clarity doesn't guarantee they'll listen. It just gives them a new excuse not to. Still in the hallway, leaning against the cool wall, my phone lit up again. New text. Elra. Hey, I just wanted to say I'm really sorry if tonight felt weird. I still love you. You know that, right? No punctuation, no ownership, just vague sweetness wrapped in self-preservation. I stared at the screen, let it sit like a cheap peace offering. Weird. That's what she called it. I didn't reply. Not yet. Something didn't sit right. Too polished. Too rehearsed. Curiosity pulled at me. As I walked back toward the dining area, I opened Instagram. Notification. Rie tagged you in a story, a boomerang, the table, laughing, glasses raised, like it was the best night ever. Caption, family over everything. I looked closer. It was right before dessert. The moment I'd gotten up to leave. I was in the frame, barely. Half my shoulder, cropped. She tagged me but kept me out. Surgical. I wasn't reconciliation. I was branding. Text me sweetly. Post me silently. A ghost. A prop. That breath I took, it didn't steady me. It stoked the fire. No more playing nice. No more being the bigger person. I didn't want size. I wanted truth. And I was walking back to the table to find it. This is a powerful, emotionally raw monologue that reads like a spoken word performance or the climax of a character-driven short film. It captures the rupture of long-held tension in a family dynamic, revealing deep themes of self-worth, boundaries, and the cost of silence. The structure, voice, and rhythm all build toward a reckoning that feels earned, not dramatic for drama's sake. Here are a few strengths and suggestions depending on what you want to do next with this piece. Strengths, voice, and pacing. The narrator's voice is strong, introspective, and resonant. The pacing slows and builds with purpose, matching emotional weight to each moment. Conflict clarity. The tension between appearances, Instagram smiles, family first, captions, and reality, emotional abandonment, performative loyalty, is clearly and convincingly presented. Emotional arc. We go from quiet endurance to self-assertion, to healing. Each step feels deliberate, with no shortcuts taken. Symbolism and motifs. The receipt, coffee, and seat at the table all serve as layered metaphors that work beautifully. Suggestions, formatting for impact. Consider breaking the piece into paragraphs or sections for readability and dramatic pauses. As is, the wall of text risks exhausting readers before the full emotional payoff. Example, a break after I wasn't background anymore. I was about to become the plot twist could allow that line to land harder. Polish. Some repetitions. A few words, phrases are repeated a bit too closely, such as smile, Instagram, or napkin. Intentional repetition works when rhythmic, but some moments could use tightening. Clarify supporting characters. Maeve, Darian, Elra, Rachel, all feel real, but a bit more physical or emotional grounding, a gesture, a history flashback, etc., would make them richer. Ending options. If this is a spoken piece or video script, the final call to action, drop a 1 in the comments, etc., works. If you're aiming for a short story or essay, you might rework the ending to feel more internal and conclusive rather than audience-directed.